Let's have a little chat then, lads. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Opinion, the home of a twat with too much free time, and music, probably the most volatile industry of recent, and the subject of today's question. When we talk about recent movements, obviously the first one that comes into our head is metoo, which obviously inspired many women to come forward about their sexual maltreatment by celebrities, primarily in the film and journalism industry, though it did have outreach into other sectors. Some very large names were taken down, while others very slyly sneaked out of the spotlight during the allegations. However, there was one industry that was eerily quiet, and that was the music industry, and now there were a few, Russell Simmons probably being the most famous of all, but that was more from an executive position, and even then, the coverage has been minimal, which is surprising considering the claims are quite numerous against him. For those who are familiar with my channel, you'll know that I'm a keen follower of music. If I wanted to start up my own review medium, I probably could. I like to see myself as someone who, quote, gets around 99% of music. Recently there's been a trend of what many regard as SoundCloud rappers. Now, this is headed by names like Lil Pump, XXXTentacion, Lil Uzi Vert, Lil Yachty, you know, lots of Lil people. I bet some of them aren't even small, misleading cunts. However, obviously rap is typically a more gritty genre, and therefore some of its output is going to be more controversial. At the pinnacle of this controversy, one of the SoundCloud artists to emerge was 6ix9ine, or Tekashi 6ix9ine as some call him, and his music is interesting. That's an appropriate word to describe it. However, that's not the only interesting thing about him. To understand the premise of what I'm going to be talking about today, and why he's more than just the typical interesting individual, I'm going to have to get some help in, because to be honest, although I know the basics of his case, I don't really know what his persona is like. So, to understand why he's so controversial, I've decided to bring on SoundCloud rap connoisseur Vanilla Rice to explain exactly why he's causing a stir, following which I will talk about the greater point being made. Take it away.
Hello everyone and welcome to my part of the video. I've been asked to talk about Tekashi 6ix9ine. Now the thing about Tekashi 6ix9ine is that, to me personally, I feel like he's set such a bad precedent for so many internet or SoundCloud rappers or up and coming artists, and it's just not good. Tekashi 6ix9ine, so you might have heard of him, you might have heard this song.
I don't fuck with no old hoes, only new hoes, put my dick in the backbone, I pass.
Or this song.
Yeah, kick the door, yeah. Niggas want the sauce, yeah, shake them off, yeah.
Or this song.
About all my niggas really gangbang, talk that damn slang. Rap about it, do the same thing, let your nuts hang. We gon' pull up.
Or you might have heard all of them and thought they were one song. Now usually I don't say that. Usually I don't say, oh, this rapper, all of his songs sound the same. But this, it's genuinely like the same flow and the same sort of beat and the same sort of lyrical consistency of all of his other songs, of all of his hits. And I just don't appreciate that. The only reason he's relevant is because he always maintains a state of controversy. And he's always in the media for doing something controversial, either touching kids, or shooting a gun, or saying, oh, test my gangster.
Test it. You know what I'm saying? Test my gangster.
Test my gangster.
Come test my gangster, you know what I'm saying?
I want people to test my gangster.
Test my gangster.
The thing I don't like about it is because he still maintains his relevancy. He still maintains it from DJ Academics, who covers him like every day of the week because he's always doing something. Like the other day, he was shooting a gun, he was in like a gunfight. He was just squaring up to people because he was like, because of his actions where he goes, test my gangster. People have now tested his gangster and they brought out guns, and it was like, because he maintains this sort of drama all the time, and I don't appreciate it. He hasn't done anything revolutionary. His flow isn't any like revolutionary thing. His lyrical consistency is not revolutionary. It's just hype music. It's just because he's got rainbow hair that he's sort of stood out, and everyone's gone, oh yeah, that guy's got rainbow hair, he might be cool. There's allegations around that he's touched kids, and people support him. I don't understand. I think I understand why people are drawn to him. It's because he's such a crazy, weird character. He's such a I don't know what I'll say, anti-hero. I don't know what to sort of classify him in. He's just 6ix9ine, he's just insane. And he looks weird, he's just scary, I don't like him. He's just, what is he? Why has he done that to himself? And the fact that he's done that to himself just to achieve fame means that, like, you know, he's changed his appearance. He's like, oh, I'm just expressing myself. I'm just expressing myself. No, mate, you've done that Just so you stand out and you maintain your relevancy on no merit, you just it's just on your appearance and your insane personality. Oh yeah, see, 8 hours ago, 6ix9ine said he refuses to check in with anyone before going to LA. I don't know what that means, but see, 6ix9ine hood pass got revoked after OG gang members say 6ix9ine announces that he's done doesn't have any issues with who. All right, no one cares. Why are we keeping him relevant? If an artist has to maintain a state of drama, and has to maintain a state of drama to stay relevant, then why? Why are we giving them the time of day? It's only his appearance and the way he conducts himself that keeps him relevant. And that's just my opinion on it. And again, it sets a bad precedent for people trying to get up to the top, because kids will be like, you know, the kids that want to become rappers will be, oh, 6ix9ine, he did it, oh, I'm going to rip my teeth out and, I don't know, get a Glock and go out on the town and all that stuff. And I don't appreciate what he's done for hip-hop, alright? That's just my opinion. Thank you for letting me on your channel, James, or The Right Opinion, or whatever. It's been a good one. Please subscribe to me, or follow me on Twitter, or both. So that would be really appreciative. Thank you. Peace out, home dogs.
Thank you, Vanilla Ice. Go check him out. He makes some spicy content. Now, being the very gracious gentleman he is, he sent me his part before I wrote this script, so I can actually write it with that information in mind. Now, to nuance onto Vanilla Ice's point about touching kids, what he meant by that is that 6ix9ine was actually convicted of use of a child in a sexual performance. Now, listen, I'm not here to discuss the case in too much depth, but if you want my brief hot take, 6ix9ine is talking out his ass. He's lied about every other detail of the situation and been called out on it, rightfully so. But one thing that has not been disputed is that he pled guilty to the following crime, and it's a fairly incriminating description. Now, in many industries, such a conviction would be career-ending, yet he's one of the few that, even with such information public, allows him to do what he desires, and still gives him an opportunity to make a hell of a lot of money. Why, I hear you ask? At the height of one of the most monumental social movements in recent history is a person so antithetic to that, becoming a mainstream artist. Well, firstly, music is a very heavily consumer-based market. A lot of the power to decide what is going to be a hit lies with much of the buyer, and as many artists tend to have a signature style, people tend to base it on the quality of the music rather than the character of the person making it. Whereas in a film, swapping an individual actor out may not be too much of a difference. In music, the artist is much more central to the final product, making record labels much more reluctant to drop an artist as they're not as expendable as those who contribute to other industries. Chris Brown is still notching top 100 hits to this day, and he continued to score huge singles years after the domestic abuse case, which would have ended many careers in many various persuasions. This conveniently brings us to our second point. The music is a much more individual art. People aren't just supporting the music, they're often supporting the artist. The artist is often at the helm of their creation. If you're an actor and you want to be in a film, and one of the many executives object to your inclusion, then you're chucked. Even without a label, you could still make hits. In fact, given the current internet nature of virality, the opportunities yielded are greater than ever. And then we have to talk about content, because as Vanilla Ice noted, 6ix9ine regularly involves himself in plenty of antisocial behavior. In a way, many would say that this is part of the culture. I mean, hip-hop is true reflection of what life is like. It's not pretty, but it's something that has to be addressed. But this is where the conflation of cultural understanding has allowed some fairly reprehensible human beings to slip through the cracks. In hip-hop, the gritty culture can be derived as a product of the broken system, and therefore, if someone is convicted of, say, a felony when young, they may still be able to make music afterwards and turn their life around. And I think that's a positive thing, because often they can talk about it and inspire other people. Many rappers reflect on their struggle, and I see it in a lot of the best music, especially in 2017. However, from the offset, 6ix9ine doesn't do that. But okay, he's acting like a provocateur while still making his content. Plenty of rappers have done that in the past. It's the culture. However, that should not apply to every crime in every situation. And last time I checked, if inappropriate sexual actions with minors is a staple in the hip-hop community, then I don't really want to know. And I feel a lot of artists would not condone that as defensible behavior. It's certainly not what's getting him famous. Well, I hope not, at least. Plenty of musicians can live a public life and still be very outrageous because of the power of the consumer, and often that's what's allowed them to get away with it. In a way, maybe we don't hold musicians to the same esteem as actors, but should we? And can we? Music is much less under the control of the industry currently, and that's both a good and bad thing. It will lead to a lot more diverse and interesting music gaining traction over over mediums that may not have been available in the past. I love the thought of that. Fuck corporations, fuck the establishment. But it also means that certain people who may not deserve popularity may get it, because popular demand often may disregard quality of character, and given the huge presence of younger audiences on streaming sites that don't really care about someone's character, then yes, it's gonna happen. Should we change it? I mean, it's not really down to us. Whereas an industry could exile an actor by not casting him in films that require high budgets anyway, and it's not like the actor could make a film on his own. Any musician can find a good squad and drop a spicy mixtape. It's elementary, really. So you can either take a more open industry with the risk of having bad people make the dollar, or cleansing these people, but nonetheless creating a very hierarchical system which may create very corporate pop. But right now, we don't have a choice either way. I mean, the masses have made up their mind. Though I certainly don't want someone like 6ix9ine around, you know, I won't be purchasing his music. He's here. But then again, there are a few Chris Brown songs that I like. Is it down to the consumer, or the label, or anyone? Tough questions with no clear answer. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below though. Big thanks to Vanilla Rice again for appearing. I'll leave his links in the description and the pinned comment. Check him out. Until then, I'm The Right Opinion, and I'll see you in the next one.